Welcome to Home Buying Consultation, Steps to Buying a Home in Virginia, Maryland, D.C. This is an overview and refresher of the home buyer consultation that I have with potential clients. So, about me, I've been in real estate since 2002. I'm a military relocation professional, which is a designation with the National Association of Realtors assisting military with their PCS moves. I have experience with negotiating fair deals for my clients over the years. I have seen very challenging deals and I know how to get the job done. I believe in results and I have about a 90% success rate in winning bids for my buyers on their homes, which is very important in this market because it's very tough to get a home under contract, let alone close. So let's talk about credit scores. Scores can range from 300 to 850. You can purchase a home with a credit score that's less than 620, but you need your own down payment if you're going to go with a down payment assistance program. Keep in mind that scores that you see on Credit Karma are what's called Vantage scores. They may vary between 10 to 20 points based off of what the score that your lender will actually use, which is your FICO score. When it comes to pre-qualified and pre-approvals, it's important to know the difference. So if you haven't submitted any documentation to your lender, you're pre-qualified. If you have submitted all the documentation and information was verified by the lender and it was submitted to underwriting, you're pre-approved. It's important to choose a lender that actually has an underwriting department that gets back to them. To avoid headaches, you want to make sure those things were verified ahead of time to not stress about it later, because it could kill your deal, and meaning your deal could be denied, your loan could be denied. So getting pre-approved, what do you need? You need to identify yourself. So you need a driver's license, social security number, your current address. So everything that you're going to verify is going to be 2 years. Well, in twos, I would say. So your residential address, the last 2 years. Landlord's names and addresses, last 2 years. Income history, your last 2 months of pay stubs, your W-2 tax forms, last 2 years. Your returns, all pages, last 2 years. Last 2 months of your bank statements. So a home buyer financing tip, having a reputable lender will save you time and money. Remember that. When buying a home, you have to always think of location, your affordability based on your location, and the size that you can afford. So your home search. So understanding what you're looking for is a top priority. So let's talk about your criteria. So location, do you need to be near work? Is shopping important to you? Are schools important to you because you have kids? Type, do you want a condo? Do you want a townhome? Do you want a single family? Are you open to all three? Features in the home, how many bedrooms do you need? How many bathrooms do you need? I would say needs instead of wants. And then you have your needs list, and then you have your wants list, and then you meet somewhere in the middle based on your price point, how much you want to spend per month. Do you need a basement? How many parking spaces do you need? If it's a condo, does the parking have to be in a garage? How big does the space need to be? Monthly payment, what's the payment that you don't want to exceed? That's very important. So for instance, if you're considering a condo, what's considered in a mortgage payment is your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Plus, if you're getting an FHA loan, that would be a private mortgage insurance, plus your condo fee. So if you tell me you don't want your payments to be any more, or the lender says no more than $1,600, then everything has to be below that, including the condo fee. So more about that later. Additional fees. Are you okay with being in a community with an HOA? What's the maximum condo fee that you're willing to pay per month? So that's important to understand about budget. So types of mortgages. So there's several types of mortgages. So you have FHA, you have conventional, VA, and then I'll talk about the VA VIND program. So with FHA, you have to have 3.5% down payment. There is an upfront and monthly private mortgage insurance that's attached to the monthly payment. Credit scores can be as low as 680 to actually get a loan, but with that, you wouldn't be able to get down payment assistance. So next we have conventional. Typically, most people think that you have to have 20% down payment in order to avoid PMI. That's simply not true. There are programs that either have lender paid private mortgage insurance that can be paid up front, or the program doesn't have private mortgage insurance. The rate will be higher, but you won't have it in the loan. Credit scores can be as low as a 640 with conventional, and down payment assistance programs are available. So VA, this is only for for military and veterans. So no down payment is required. There's no maximum down payment. Originally there was a down payment requirement for the regular conforming limit to not be considered a jumbo loan, but that has changed as of this year. So there's no PMI, there's no funding fee if you're at least 10% disabled. Credit scores can be as low as 580. And it's available to active military, veterans, and surviving spouses. So VA VIND is a program that's available for pre-selected homes offered by the VA that offer seller financing, which these are homes that have been foreclosed and owned by the VA. So you can have a credit score as low as a 580. You don't have to be a veteran to get the program. There is a funding fee, and it is 100% financing. So that is something to consider, though you have to purchase the home that's on their list. So steps to buying a house. So you can you should hire an agent, but sometimes people look and review loan programs before they hire an agent. So these two things don't really have to happen before. Some people get approved before they have an agent. Some people get an agent before they get approval. But you can't look at homes until you get your approval letter, so it really doesn't matter. So once you get your pre-approval letter, you select and view homes based on the monthly payment that you want to not exceed. I would say don't shy away from choosing the sales price, because different areas will be different because the taxes are more, or HOA is more, or a property may not have HOA, or they may have HOA and condo fees. So that's very important to understand and digest. But as your agent, I would work through all that. So don't get overwhelmed. I'm just telling you so you understand. So, and then at that point, I would negotiate and get the contract accepted for you. So, reviewing properties, you can create your home search on my website, ReShawnaLeaven.com. You can favorite homes. I recommend that if you're not familiar with an area, that you drive around different types of the day to see, what the traffic patterns are, to see if you're actually interested in the area, what's around there. And because you need to feel comfortable, it's your house. Schedule your home search. I have an online scheduling service to schedule your homes. At least allow 1 day. Same day appointments are available sometimes, but keep in mind I have to make sure that the home is still available. I have to schedule the appointment with the owner or tenant, whoever lives there, and that takes time depending on how many houses you want to look at. During every tour, I'll ask you to rate each home. I'm not necessarily saying, well, you want to buy it, because I can tell whether you're going to want to buy the house. It's cues. I've been doing this a long time, so I know. So typically, people do rate on a 4-star house, typically. Very rare is a 1-star. 1-star, that happens if the house is completely inhabitable, but it does happen. But I'll ask you to rate it from 1 to 5 stars, 5 being the best, and 1 star being the least favorite, and you give me your reasons. So I can understand, is it you don't like the floor plan, you don't like the neighborhood, you don't like where it is. So I'm trying to kind of understand, because if it's another home that comes up in the neighborhood and you don't like the floor plan, then I don't want to keep showing you stuff to waste your time, because sometimes I'll add some things. Like say if you had 5 houses on the list, one wasn't available, then I found another house that is similar to another house that you may like, and if you don't like that area, there's no need for me to add it. So offer process, you have found the home you want. So more than likely I'll kind of have an idea of whether the home is at market price, if they're priced correctly, are they priced too high or too low. But at that point, I would create what's called a CMA. That's a competitive market analysis to see what recent homes have sold. Because if the house, say for instance, it was listed for $400,000, doesn't mean you have to pay $400,000. Now, if the market bears that, then yes, you will have to pay $400,000. But I need to make sure because I'm trying to avoid any appraisal issues. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, but I want to make sure that we don't have those down the line. So pre-approval letter, I'll get an updated approval letter from your lender. I'll have that. You don't have to worry about getting that. I can get that from them. The earnest money deposit, that'll be due 2 days after contract acceptance, and that will be submitted to the title company. This needs to be a cashier or personal check, and I will give you the shipping instructions on where to ship that to, because it's just easier if I give you the label to do that instead of meeting, because traffic and then time schedules, it's just easier. I'll have the envelope. All you have to do is print out the mailing label and send that off next day. No expense to you. It's just automatically done. You just have to get the check and send it. Conveyances. So what's going to what's going to stay inside and outside the home. All right, is there a TV mounted on the wall? Is there a wall mounts? Do you want the mounts? Is there an island in the kitchen? Does it move? If it moves, it may not stay. Are there ceiling fans? Do you want the ceiling fan? What type of appliances are there? Are they stainless steel appliances? Because nothing in the contract actually states that the stainless steel LG appliance must stay. It says the refrigerator stays. It doesn't have the serial numbers. So, as an added benefit to my clients, I take pictures of things and have it as part of the contract because we don't want issues. They could easily swap out the refrigerator with another appliance. You'd be upset, but there's nothing in the contract that would have you demand that. Is the patio furniture? Do you want the furniture? Is it anything that you want to stay with the home? You have to say that. And if there's any furniture that's going to remain with the house, there will be a special addendum that we'd have to draw up that it declares no value and is as is. So, seller pay closing costs. Well, we're in an interesting market. Some areas allow for seller assistance, some don't. So I always prepare my clients to make sure you have the closing costs. We'll ask for it, but if you don't, then you're still prepared if that doesn't happen. As for a home warranty, termite inspection, I always recommend that a buyer do this because you want to make sure that it's done in a timely fashion and that you have control over it. So 3 things can happen when you submit an offer. It can get accepted, which accepted means they have made no changes to the original contract and you are what's now called ratified. So that's when the important dates begin, and I'll send you an email on what next steps are and what you must do. So even if you're watching this, you're like, oh, I forgot what she said. You always know what's coming up next. So, second option, counter offer. They could say, well, no, I'm not giving you my washer and dryer. Or I don't like your settlement date. I need it to be sooner, or I need to be later, or I need to do a rent back, meaning I need you to close on the house, but I need to stay for another 3 weeks. So any additional changes that weren't submitted with your offer that you didn't sign off on is a counter offer. It could be something small, or they could make several changes. Excuse me, or several changes. So you can, at that point, counter again, accept it, or you can withdraw your offer. You say, well, I'm not happy with those new terms. That's not going to work for me. But I would say just go ahead and counter. Try to counter. Don't just withdraw because they may be open. to it. Or it could be number 3, a flat out rejection. That could be if it's a multiple offer situation. If they're not going to entertain your offer because multiple offers you're not in the running. So, well, that's a rejection. Or the seller could reject it. I would hope that wouldn't happen. But it does happen. So, I mean, don't feel bad. That wasn't the right house. We move on. So next. So now that you're under contract, it's time to remove contingencies. So contingency is something that needs to be completed in order to move forward. So home inspection will do, radon inspection, termite inspection, appraisal is next. The house has to appraise for the value, and financing. So that's everything that the lender says, they've issued your loan commitment, they've committed to lend to you, and the underwriter has reviewed your file, and they've given you what's called a clear to close. Once you're clear to close, you can close. Until you hear that phrase, you're not good to go. I mean, hopefully that they would deny your loan, but until that has happened, you can't close until they give that final approval. So if you're in a townhome or a single family, I recommend getting a survey because you want to make sure if there's a fence there, that the fence is on your property, or if the fence is not on your property but it's adjacent to it, that the fence that's there by the neighbors is not on your property. If it needs to be removed, we need to handle that issue. We'll do a title search, make sure that current owner that owns the home can actually legally sell it to you. You'd be surprised. I've seen a lot of things over the years. So final closing disclosure, that's what the lender gives you. You'll get an initial one when you first sign your loan documents, but the final one gives you down to the cent how much you need. So they might say on the final closing disclosure, you need $1,653.63. That's the amount you have to bring to settlement in the form of a certified check. You obtain the funds for closing and close on your new home. So that's a simple version of what happens. So now let's talk about money. So let's say, not saying you're going to, but for the sake of this example, you're purchasing a $400,000 home. You'll need at least $5,000 before looking at homes and writing an offer. So earnest money deposit, 1% of the sales price. Though the higher your earnest money will, in essence, put you at the front of the line if it's a multiple offer situation. So the more money you put up, the better your contract will be in the form of seller. So that's at minimum what you need. Home inspections, $500 for a home inspection, radon and termite. It could be more, it shouldn't be too much more than that. Appraisal, you'll have to have that before they order your appraisal. So that's $5,000. Closing costs. Closing costs are also included with your escrows, their escrow account that the lender is going to have you start when you purchase your home. So you can pay for your closing costs yourself from savings, home buying program, 401k, IRA account. You can ask the seller to pay, or you can roll the closing costs into the loan. Though I shy away from that because if the house doesn't appraise for the different amount, then that's going to cause issues. So what are closing costs? So it includes your appraisal, loan processing fee, underwriting fee, lender fees, any loan discount fees, recording fees, settlement officer fee, title insurance for the lender and owner's title, document preparation fee, escrow taxes and insurance, prepaid interest, credit report, tax transfer fees, attorney, and a notary fee. Oh, something that I didn't mention earlier. So in regards to the earnest money deposit, that cannot be borrowed, meaning you can't get it from someone else. The money has to be your own money. You can't borrow it from a friend. You can't get it from a parent. You can't do any of that. So closing costs, you can get a gift from a close family relative for closing costs, but that money has to be sourced, and you need to speak with your lender on that. Just wanted to bring that up. So home buying timeline typically takes 1 to 3 months. That's typical. So there's no So you need to do your pre-approval. That takes 2 to 3 days. That's with you gathering all your documents and submitting all the documentation to the lender. Next, finding a home. I say 1 to 4 weeks because you may find the home on the first try. I have a lot of clients that find the house that they want to purchase on the first go round. So let's say week 1, we go look, we see 4 houses or 6 houses. You like the 6th house. You write an offer, multiple offers. You don't get it. Okay, week 2, same thing. Week 3, same thing. Week 4, you get it. It could take a long time for you to purchase a home. I've had this question come up: can you write on multiple properties at once? I will just say this is the sake of this video. You can, but we'll have to talk about that offline. I won't mention that in the video. So inspections, once you actually are under contract, you'll do your inspections, appraisal, and your underwriting. So all of those things combined are going to be 3 weeks long. And then you'll have to have your closing disclosure at least 3 days before you close. So a lot of times the lender will go ahead and give this to you ahead of time so that they can actually close a loan. It may not be the final amount, but they'll get it close enough to it. So you won't have any issues closing on time. Let's say, for instance, you're closing on Friday. You have to have this document by Tuesday or you won't close. So I'll ask you, did you get the closing disclosure? And then you say, it's 6 o'clock and you haven't gotten it. That, I won't say it causes for panic, but then at that point I need to talk to the lender and see what the holdup is. What is the issue? Do they foresee anything happening with the loan that it's not going to close on time? So that's that. So let's talk about agency. So the listing agents, they are the ones we've all seen the signs in the yard. They represent the seller. Buyer's agents, they represent the buyer. So designated agency could happen. That's when 2 agents at the same firm, employed by the same broker, has 1 agent representing the seller and 1 agent representing the buyer. That could happen. So dual agency I don't do. I've only done it twice, and it was for an investment transaction. That's when the same agent represents both the buyer and seller, and you can't offer any advice, and that's only allowed in DC. So closing day, this is the big day. I'll compliment you if I check, or you can wire your down payment and closing costs. So, but if you're going to wire, please let me know ahead of time so I can make sure I get you the proper information. Are you ready to hire me to assist you with your new home? I hope so. Thank you so much. I look forward to working with you. I hope you enjoyed this review of the buyer consultation. Whether we have met and you've seen this in person, or this is the first time you're seeing this, you are more than a couple of ways to set up appointments with me. You can set them up on my website, ReShawnaLeaven.com/appointments. There you can schedule your phone calls. I like to do phone call scheduling because I want to make sure that I'm available for your questions to answer them properly. So a lot of people don't like that, but if at any rate, if you really need to talk to me, you can text me. I just want to make sure I'm available when you call. If you're not able, if you don't find a time available, you can always text me and say, well, can I call you right now? So that option is always available. You can schedule your home tours on there. You won't be able to go on a home tour unless you have your pre-approval, but once you have that, you can schedule it. And schedule your consultation, because everyone I must meet in person. That's just my requirement. Even if you look at this, I still must meet you in person. That's just a requirement. Must meet everyone. Thank you for watching.